It's a hockey podcast. 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 It's a hockey
Handsome Hockey Podcast.
It's a hockey podcast.
But let's start with the Donald Trump raid. Did you hear what they found in his lockbox?
That was the Al Gore raid.
I know, but in his safe that he was so consternating about?
No.
A concrete explanation signed by Gary Bettman and the Department of Player Safety of what goaltender interference is.
So that's where we've been keeping it all this time.
Yeah, they fucking had it. They just lied to us.
I figured it was in the same warehouse where they keep the Ark of the Covenant at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Like they accidentally absconded with the real prop. They're like, it's the real Ark, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, dude, we made this for a movie, but it's the real Ark, right?
I've seen the movie. Shit works.
Yeah,
That's cinematography. But is it? Hi, I also have a QAnon sticker on my car.
You know what does work? Dark Brandon.
Oh, God. I haven't dove into that yet, and I will not. So,
Yeah, but I don't know. When my fantasy hockey team is Dark Brandon Wheat Kings.
Dark Brandon Carlo.
But yeah, no, they probably have like a furniture sale after each game.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, that sounds fucking convenient.
Get some great Amish furniture, man.
Yeah, for real. That would be a plus.
Can you do this in a mid-century modern? They just look at you with scorn. You're going to hell.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, well, because a lot of Amish stuff fits in with modern stuff because sometimes it tends to be sort of plain. But yeah, you can't put some like mission furniture in a modern context.
You're not putting
otherwise.
Amish furniture in an issue of Dwell.
Right. Yeah. Then if you try and sneak mission furniture into Dwell, like the Bauhaus black helicopters will come for you.
I miss Unhappy Hipsters.
Is it dead?
I don't know. I just haven't looked at it in like 10 years.
I hope it's not dead. I need to look it up again.
Yeah, May 18th, 2015.
Oh, boo.
September 23rd, 2014 on Unhappy Hipsters. To be honest, I haven't fully bought into Cale culture. You know who can afford Cale now? Michaela Grant Mentis.
Michaela Grant Mentis?
Oh, shit. We know this because her contract was released publicly. This is episode 67 of the Unhappy Hipsters podcast. If you couldn't tell by the intro music, that still to me sounds like you're coming up upon the supervillain of an SNES game.
It's like you're playing hockey against Cale Grant Mentis.
Yeah, and I mean that as like the most complimentary way. I'm Jake. This is Evan.
This is Evan. And Michaela got paid.
Yeah, Michaela got paid, and we know this because of the disclosure. However, that was not supposed to happen.
Okay.
And so since
it was an accident,
it was
heaven forbid the women hockey players tell you how much they're gonna make.
They're like 80 motherfucking K, dog.
No more Costco hot dogs.
I mean, you can still get a Costco hot dog is fairly solid. Let's be honest. It's a solid meal. It's got the 5 food groups of hot dog and bun and condiment. They don't have the onions anymore, I've noticed.
Ooh, that's
actually a real killer.
It is a killer.
Yeah. So the PHF and the Players Association came to an agreement, and this happened a while ago, but we got wrapped up in the A, only posting shit every like 2 weeks, and B, all of the hockey malfeasance we talked about last week.
Which you should still go listen to. It's a lot of it's tough to hear, but it's important.
So the PHF and the PA came to an agreement on how to disclose player salaries, because there's something really tyrannical about not allowing players to discuss with other players or the media how much they're making.
Yeah, technically illegal. You should talk with your coworkers about your salaries.
Yeah. The downside of this agreement is that there is supposed to be an agreement between player and team about when and how the money will be disclosed, and which seems like it's the league saying, we'll decide when. And
Does Lou Lamoriello run this league now? Like,
it's like him and the Boyntons are like in lockstep.
It's crazy that this is how they're running their league. I understand that this is kind of like them feeling each other out and getting things right for their players. But the PHF always loves to do things in maybe the most strange, ham-fisted ways possible.
Backwards.
Even if they're doing the right thing in more or less the right manner, that it's like, let's make something weird.
Let's make it weird and like completely not transparent.
Right. So at some point, are we going to get just a cavalcade of signing?
I think we will at some point. I think we'll get a ton of information about player salaries. I also think that there's a chance that, some players don't want to kind of disclose that. I don't know.
Sure. I understand that you want to create an environment that's maybe a little bit more, I don't know, even between like veterans and rookies.
But ultimately, I think this is a step in the right direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the players now have a vehicle for discussing their salaries with one another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we joked about it earlier, but legitimately, you should be speaking with your coworkers about your salaries to make sure you're not getting the short end of the stick. Know your worth.
Yeah, I understand setting some ground rules. That makes sense.
And, there is this consternation, which I understand, about the fact that there's supposed to be an agreement between the player and the team about when a salary is released. But Reagan Carey, the commissioner of the PHF, also said, I don't see a scenario where our league will go after any players for disclosing their salaries. That sounds pretty aggressive and not the kind of relationship we want with players.
Yeah.
So
they see that as like, it's not going to be untenable. Like this was a legitimate negotiation. And I think the more of these kind of negotiations that happen, it'll be better.
Yeah. And ultimately, hopefully the Players Association becomes an actual union, a full union, and can collectively bargain. And that, I think, is probably the next step for the players.
It, shouldn't surprise anyone, but we're a pro-union podcast.
Yes. Like 100% pro-union. The only bad thing I could say about the union is UAF. Oh,
I mean, it can be
is UAW.
It can be, political, catty, corrupt, sure.
Yeah.
But, the workers still need someone advocating for them.
Yeah.
If there's, any kind of class of worker that is being obviously and systematically abused, you can almost guarantee that they don't have a union. And maybe they did. Maybe the union got detoothed and sent packing, but unions.
It's really awesome to see the power of women's hockey players that they are exerting. I think they realize that with the PWHPA and their league potentially on the way, and we still don't know any real details about the PWHPA.
Yeah, they're threatening a hockey league.
Yeah, but the PHF knows that that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the PHF wants to have a stake in the future women's hockey landscape, they need to make these concessions. They need to, listen to their player base,
mm-hmm.
right? And so I think that's why we're starting to see this. Hopefully we see some more of it. Hopefully we get a more transparent league. Seeing as how no sports league in the world is transparent, I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, but we want the PHF to be different and to be inclusive and transparent, and hopefully they can figure out a way to do that. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
We root for the PHF. We give them some ribbing sometimes, but make no mistake, we are absolutely rooting for them. It's a process setting up a sports league, and it's messy.
Yeah. If Mel Pearson had been transparent, he might still have a job.
That's for sure. Ooh, man.
Probably not.
Back up. We're talking about the University of Michigan coach of their
I guess
amazing hockey team right now.
We should back up a little bit. So Mel Pearson, who is the hockey coach of the University of Michigan, for the last 5 years, was summarily fired in August, which
After
is
doing a fine job on the ice.
because he effectively created an extremely toxic environment, or at the very least declined to manage a very toxic environment. This comes about after the University of Michigan dropped themselves from the 2021 Frozen Four because of COVID. Some things surfaced about how Mel Pearson may or may not have tried to force his players to lie about their exposures so that they could continue playing. Nothing came of that because ultimately they did dropped out of the tournament.
Yeah,
So,
the problem
yeah.
became too big for them to hide.
Right. What then came forth was a couple of big things. One, Steve Shields, graduate and former hockey player there, who before Marty Turco was like one of the greatest college goalies of all time, and then he just happened to get eclipsed by the next guy up. So Steve Shields was an assistant coach with the team. He brought some concerns up to Coach Mel about the director of player development and his harassment of women in the program, and then also this kind of toxic culture that had been created where there was a fear of reprisal if anybody spoke up about these things. Mel basically told him to fuck off, and a series of events happened where Steve Shields went to the athletic department, reported his findings. The athletic department talked to Mel Pearson. Mel Pearson threw Steve Shields under the bus and then fired Steve Shields. And then Strauss-Mann, his team's captain, a senior goalie and one hell of a goalie, left the program kind of shockingly to outside observers and signed a professional contract with a team in Sweden. He then went on to be the netminder for the U.S. in the Olympics this past year. And people are like, why would your senior captain and goalie leave and starting goaltender leave? And it turns out that he had brought concerns about the really toxic environment created in the hockey team up to Mel Pearson, and Mel Pearson and him kind of, it's not that they had it out. It was that like Strauss-Mann went to Steve Shields and said, hey,
something's wrong.
I'm getting like all of these reports that I'm out to get Mel Pearson fired or Coach Pearson fired. I'm not doing that. Like, this is not what's happening. And Mel sent some really bedraggled texts to Steve Shields, like about Strauss trying to get him fired, and
also reportedly like badmouth Strauss-Mann to like scouts on NHL teams.
Yes, and Strauss has since signed a contract with the San Jose Sharks. Congratulations to him. I hope he's in the league soon. He's a very good goalie.
I mean, probably like pretty fucking easy to see past any bullshit smokescreen thrown up by a college coach if you're a star captain goaltender that has performed very well in pretty much every public appearance he's made in the game.
Pieces out.
Yeah, it pieces out, and then like you're talking shit about him to scouts. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty just transparently stupid.
Yeah. So the University of Michigan hired a law firm, the same law firm who handled the Dr. Anderson case, to come in and investigate. And during that investigation, Mel Pearson flat out lied.
Oh, yeah?
Numerous times, including one lie that was caught on tape because Steve Shields recorded a conversation with him.
The old Alex Jones special.
Yeah. And so
blatant perjury.
This report came out in May of this year, and Mel Pearson was out of a contract, but he didn't get a new contract, but he wasn't dismissed. He had a press conference a couple of weeks ago where he was like, yeah, I'm still the coach of Michigan. I'm happy to be here, blah, blah, blah. And
but
then
he took the press conference from his house.
yeah. From his couch.
Yeah,
He's in sweats. No. And so all of this, and then the report drops. The report finally becomes public, and people are like, why the fuck does this guy still have a job?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the report dropped and then the sword dropped.
It was like, but it was still a couple of days later. Reportedly, the athletic director was like, no, I'm not going to fire him, which you didn't even have to fire him. He doesn't have a contract.
It's the summer. All the people that write press releases are doing other things. That's the problem, is your grad students are off.
Yeah, but so the president and the regents were like, hey, fuck you. Fire this guy. And it was reported that there was like a standoff between the athletic director and the regents and the president. And I'm like, fuck it. Fire him too. Fuck this guy. We don't need him. Like, you have one of the most profitable athletic departments in the country. Hire whoever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Why do we need this clown? He played football for Bo. Who gives a fuck? Bo was a... Yeah.
Bo had his problems.
It turns out. And one of his big problems was like having a buddy-buddy society that didn't talk, which is exactly what fucking happened here.
What's interesting is like University of Michigan generally does things relatively the right way. And
Usually,
more or less.
Yeah.
They're not...
They like to pretend that they always do things the right way.
Right. And the lengths at which it took to dislodge like one center of toxicity from a university that more or less does things the right way most of the time is illustrative.
It's an alarming, like, and to me, like, again, nobody listens to this podcast, but I'll say it, like, the athletic director should be fired for this. Between this and the Juwan Howard slapping the coach from slapping Mark Turgeon incident, there are some...
Don't fire Juwan Howard, just fire the athletic director.
I no, do not fire, like... Should Juwan Howard, or could Juwan Howard have easily been fired for that? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that they didn't.
I love Juwan.
Just because I want like more of him. But
him and Jalen were my favorites on the Fab Five. Like, I love Juwan. He also, seemed apologetic about his actions afterwards. There was some contrition.
But also we all kind of wanted to be him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to slap that fucking guy? Even he wakes up in the morning and just slaps his face. He's like, I had that coming. It's just like a series of gaffes that why would you keep this guy around? Like, he obviously doesn't really have...
And you kind of...
He was a great AD at, like, UConn. Okay, Michigan's a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah, and you kind of think, well, maybe he's already kind of signed his death warrant a little bit, and it'll be... they're just looking around on how to replace him. Yeah. And I mean, maybe it's a year, maybe more, but it's hard to come back from this kind of shit.
Big ups to the MSC, Mary Sue Coleman, who was the president of the university when I was there. Michigan fired their president earlier this year for being a pervo on UMich emails.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what level?
Like a long-standing affair with an employee that was completely and totally documented via email.
Oof.
Yeah. And so...
Why would you use your work email?
Right? And so Mary Sue Coleman is back as the interim president. The new president is starting in October, I believe. And like having the balls as an interim to just say, no, fire the fucking coach. Thankfully, I think she has some cachet at U of M because of the fact that she had been there for so long previously.
Right. And she was unattached, uninvolved.
Yeah. She's fresh. Like, what are you going to do? Fire me? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I already retired from this bitch.
Like in some ways, interim anywhere, interim NHL coaches, like sometimes they can be the most revealing and decisions.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Martin St. Louis.
Exactly. Like, oh, hey, they're competitive all of a sudden. That's weird. But so the fallout here is Mel Pearson's gone. Thank fucking Christ. So Brandon Naruto has been named the interim head coach for this upcoming season.
Not Naruto.
No.
Naruto.
He played at Michigan under Red Berenson while Mel Pearson was an assistant coach at Michigan. He spent a little bit of time in the league or in professional hockey, retired, and then started basically a analytics / consulting / player dynamics or player development company and bounced around for a while.
Sounds like a good person to have be a college coach.
Well, at one point, the Red Wings to their players, they're like, hey, what did you guys all do this summer? They're like, oh, we worked with this guy. And they were like, all of you? And they were like, yeah. And it was like 10 guys or something like that worked with him. And so they hired him. So he worked for the Red Wings for the parts of like 3 or 4 seasons. And then all of the like high-end draft prospects at Michigan. They were like, hey, what did you guys do this summer or in the offseason? They're like, oh, we worked with Brandon Arado. And they're like, our Brandon Arado? And they're like, yeah. And so like, we should hire him as an assistant then. He's big into analytics, but he's also very like a very statistically driven, but also very like I will coach you and make you better, but I'll show you why this will make you better as well, as opposed to just being like, do this. So a bunch of the current players and former players who played there last season loved him. He'd only been there for 1 year, and most of the malfeasance happened the year before, so he was not really part of it. So he's the interim coach. It'd be awesome if he was super successful and they're like, yeah, we have no reason, we have to hire you. Like, you crushed it. We just won a national championship. That would be rad. Luke Hughes is like the best college hockey player of all time. Here you go. Here's a contract and a trophy. We'll see what happens, but bye, Mel. Bye.
Next, we have some other endings to talk about.
Yeah, it turns out all sorts of things are ending. Like Stranger Things season 4.
That streak of firelessness in Oregon.
Yeah, that ended with aplomb this past week.
We on fire.
And then also Joe Thornton retired.
Yeah, Jumbo Joe. Hats off to him. Amazing career.
Amazing beard. Amazing
body. Amazing funny nature. Yeah, he's sailing off into the sunset. And congratulations to him on an amazing and exciting career.
Yeah, it seems like he was around within the vicinity of the Stanley Cup for much of his career.
Yeah, like it's like when you throw a dart so many times looking for that bullseye, and you paint a pattern really tight around it, but don't actually hit the bullseye. Like that was his playoff career. He had some amazing playoff performances. He had some historical flameouts with the Sharks. Just some really kind of dud performances as a team. Probably one of the best passers we've ever seen in the league.
Absolutely. Like, especially for somebody of his size and like grit, like he was a guy who would throw the body around. He was a guy who wasn't afraid of contact. He's a big fucking dude, hence the Jumbo Joe moniker, but also soft as fuck hands.
Yeah. And really soft heart. He was known as a really great guy in the room, really positive, kind of guy you'd like want to be your dad.
Somewhere he's probably somebody's dad, and like,
yeah, I'm sure
those
he's a
kids
father.
Are fucking pumped, right?
I mean, for several years on the Toronto Maple Leafs, it sort of seemed like he was Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner's dad. He had one of the best like nude butts ever presented in social media when he like snuck his naked butt into Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner's TikTok or Instagram one day. It was so funny. Nudity was sort of a theme in his career. He appeared next to Brent Burns, autocorrected to Brent Buns, in the ESPN body issue, just giving us all hockey players additional body issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all know the legend of the hockey butt. Like at this point,
Right.
like if you play hockey and you don't have one, you're not trying.
He didn't have a Yager booty. He had I mean, that wasn't his frame, but he could throw his weight, and he could throw. I mean, he probably fought at some point in his career, but that kind of, I don't know. He seems like he's more likely to be at like a fish show than fight or something. He strikes me as like the Bill Walton of the NHL in some ways. And I don't know if that's accurate or not, but like, that's just the vibe I get.
Like a stoner grandpa kind of vibe.
Yeah. But like competitive stoner grandpa, like
right. Yeah.
Stoner grandpa that like cleans up in bags or something.
Yeah. Thornton ended his career with 1,539 regular season points, including 1,109 assists.
Wow.
That's a lot. He was the last active, because Chara retired just before him. So he was the last active NHL player who was drafted in the 90s.
Right. So like you can still get his like grainy face in a Bruins jersey on like NHL 98 or something. 99. I don't know. I forget when he came into the league.
Between him and Chara, we're seeing the retirement of two, I would guess, first ballot Hall of Famers.
They've got to be.
You know, Thornton, we talked about this during our Hall of Fame episode, or our episode in which we talked about Alex McGillany for some fucking reason not being in the Hall of Fame. The cup is not the end all be all that it used to be. Evan talked about this on a much grander scale, but like there's so many teams now and there's so many players and there's so much parity. Winning the cup is really fucking hard. It's not like there are 12 teams. It's not like there's 6 teams. Like winning the cup is fucking hard.
Right. That's why you don't see Montreal win the cup 5 years in a row with 8 people that are all in the Hall of Fame now.
Yeah.
Well, the league has changed.
Yeah. So these guys, Chara's got a cup. Thornton doesn't. He got close a couple times.
Got so tantalizingly close, and like, God damn it, I wanted. I was rooting for him. Between him and Patrick Marleau, you were rooting for these two good old soldiers to find a cup, and they did it. They did the late in career trades. Each took a swing with Toronto, which, come on, guys, you could have known better.
LOL.
And then Joe's like, I'm gonna go to Florida, and he barely played. I'm sure
he played like 30 games, something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure if they got to I'm sure if they made it deeper into the playoffs, they would have helped him meet the minimum to get on the cup. But he was barely playing in the season last year. The year before that, he was fantasy relevant when he played. So like his drop off was nicely swift. Like you don't want it to drag on there for
it's like
too much
43.
Longer.
So like
well, right. I mean, like Marleau was like, okay, goddamn, is this guy still fucking playing? Joe Thornton was like, when he was on Toronto, that was he worked with those dudes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so happy trails to Joe Thornton. It's been a hell of a ride. We've loved watching you. I would not be surprised if he shows up on some broadcast somewhere. I hope so. Like
ESPN could use some fucking help.
Yeah.
So like
he's really
get Jumbo
funny
in there and let him keep his beard.
Absolutely. Let him keep his beard. One of the all-time best beards in the league.
In sports, really.
Probably in sports. Yeah. I mean, like he has a beard to compete with Duck Dynasty. Like
also some happy trails. Robin Lehner is out for all of 2022-23 with hip surgery.
It's kind of a sad trail, really.
Happy
trails to his hip. I don't know.
Happy trails to the pain in his hip.
To his injured hip. Yeah. I mean, he's been struggling physically for so long. I hope this is something that fixes everything, because I mean, a lot of times when you have a bunch of other shit go wrong, it's based on your hip being fucked up. So he's a big-bodied goalie. You know, I would love to see him continue to play at his peak skill for years, but I don't know. Starting to wonder if that's maybe possible with all the injuries he's had.
Yeah.
Which sucks after really like putting it together mentally.
Yeah, which was, and that's honestly one of the things that I think we'll miss the most about Robin Lehner this year, assuming he does not continue or since he's out of the spotlight a little bit more because he won't be playing.
Another dude that's probably like fit for TV or radio. Like he's also really funny.
Absolutely. And he's 100% genuine. And, he talks about his mental health issues, which I think is incredibly important for athletes. We're seeing that more and more, but Robin Lehner was probably one of the first NHL players to really announce it. Like we've heard things from people in the past, but he was like, I am going to talk about my mental health issues and you will listen.
And just his presence has like, almost, maybe it's just coincidence, but mirrored the flip-flop in talking about mental health in a negative context and mental health in a positive context. Because like he had this reputation as like being a head case, and then he came out and was like, yeah, all right, here's what this is what this is head this is what this head is thinking, and it made perfect fucking sense. And now, I mean, you have things like Bell Let's Talk, where at the beginning of Robin Lehner's career, I don't think you did. And, even that kind of empty sentiment has grown and probably reflected his efforts and his sort of outreach and advocacy for mental health issues in the league. So it sucks to see him have to go through more adversity.
Absolutely. Speaking of somebody who's gone through a ton of adversity, Max Pacioretty tore his Achilles.
Vegas was so injured this season, they didn't stop being injured even when the season ended. And the players left. They're just still getting fucking injured, apparently.
Yeah. You and I texted about this, and I made the joke that it was probably something innocuous, like he was at a party and slipped on some guacamole and fell down the stairs or something.
He was PF Chang's and got too excited, fucking.
Are those crispy green beans, motherfucker?
I saw him in a picture of Kane's gear, so I know he has at least played on ice in some capacity while wearing their jersey. But
was there any guacamole?
Right, but nobody said anything about this happening in practice. Nobody's, you didn't hear his Achilles got cut by a skate. It was just torn Achilles, which, you can fucking fall down the stairs and probably do that pretty easily.
You could step down a stair and do that, if you're not careful.
That's crazy. Athletes are humans, and, stupid human tricks are often sad.
Eddie Olczyk is also making an exit this year.
Latest to flee or be discarded
by the Chicago hockey team.
Perfect. He got it. Perfect.
Yeah, he's now joined the Kraken's broadcast after 15 years in Chicago. He is a former player for the Chicago hockey team.
Right, that's...
and so that makes this kind of
an indictment.
Has anything gotten better in Chicago?
Eddie Olczyk's life was in Chicago.
Yeah,
he's
from Chicago.
His horses are in Chicago. Yeah.
He's got to find himself a stable outside of Seattle.
I think he's got kids in Chicago. I'm
Maybe
sure
Tukwila.
Yeah, I'm sure, he'll still probably keep his property and shit, but he's taking a job with Kraken, and I don't know, kind of mirrors my own fandom in some ways. I'm kind of shopping for some Brandon Tanev jerseys.
It's do it. Can you get a Brandon Tanev and a Chris Tanev?
Yeah, but the thing is, I want
jerseys are sweet.
Yeah, they are. I want a Brandon Tanev staring off in the middle distance face mask, but it's got to be super perfect. I need one of those ones from Mission Impossible 2 that is just the actor. I just turn into Brandon Tanev.
And you pull it off and it sounds like a suction cup. It's
yes, exactly.
Yeah, this is definitely an indictment on the current state of the hockey team in Chicago. It's fucking embarrassing.
Right. He lived his whole life for that team and then said, fuck this.
I can actually sympathize. So
yeah, good for him. I can definitely sympathize. I saw this as some sort of weird symbol.
This is your bat symbol he is taking the journey, the spiritual journey that you need to take to the Kraken.
All right. I can get behind that.
Yeah, you're a Kraken fan now. I'm referring to you as Kraken fan, Evan Stravers now.
And then when Frank Nazar is a NHL star, we can return to the Blackhawks.
No, you're done.
When they have a New Jersey,
it's just it's just like college football. You get one transfer, otherwise you have to sit out a year.
I'm willing to sit out.
A fantasy hockey? No, you will sit out of fantasy hockey.
Oh no, part of the spiritual journey is returning.
I'll kick the champ out of the league, and I will find somebody. I will get my wife, who doesn't give a shit about sports, to run your team for a year, and then when you come back, you will have nothing.
I can be a Blackhawks fan again.
That's what it'll take.
You're gonna convince her to trade everybody. Keepers gone.
My lovely wife. Hi.
Yeah,
we're best friends, right? Yeah. You don't need that guy. Here.
You don't need David Pastrnak.
Here's Riley Shahan.
Yeah. I mean, the hero's journey comes with consequences.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. But yeah, it's sad because he's probably sad about it too. I like Eddie.
For sure.
I like him as an announcer. I think I'm maybe in the minority, but
I think he's good calling games, but I think he's bad like on TV.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
He's like Pierre Maguire light. Like he knows like way too much about these kids' like personal lives and where they were at in juniors.
He lost his virginity in 2017 to
when
he named Albert.
When he was betting on the horsies with me, he's 17. Well,
we're gonna move into some somber news for just a moment here. This is absolutely heartbreaking. If you watched the NHL playoffs, which if you're listening to us, you probably did this past year, the Oilers all last season were kind of guided by this young fan, Ben Stelter.
Yeah, he was their cause celeb. Super fan, diagnosed with a form of glioblastoma 18 months ago. And sadly, he passed away. When they kind of adopted this 6-year-old as their icon symbol, like
he's like a good luck charm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he leaned into it. His family leaned into it. The players leaned into it. He'd met all of the stars on the team in the short years that he was sick.
Yeah, multiple times. Like hung out with the team. Like they
adopted him too.
Yeah, there's things about sports that really matter. Like there's something like Iowa football turning towards the children's hospital and waving during home football games for Iowa.
Or PK Subban's children's hospital work in Montreal, even after they shipped him to Nashville. He still goes back to Montreal to go to the same children's hospital that he went to when he was on Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, it's like these things matter. And even with a ton of these events happening, it's really important because they draw attention to causes that are, for the most part, really dire and neat. And I'm not poo-pooing breast cancer in any way. I've lost a number of family members to it, but the Save the Mommies campaign is extremely effective, and it should be, but there are a lot of lesser known forms of cancer or, terminal diseases that don't have that sort of attachment. And so when somebody like this or a situation like this raises awareness for those things.
Yeah. For brain cancer in this case.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid was an absolute warrior, and that's an overused term when it comes to fighting cancer, but he overcame his symptoms to take the ice with the team for, I think it was a practice or a warm-up, and it was one of that's become the kind of iconic image of his life and super fandom, and that's a good thing. You could tell that this was just this time of unmitigated joy for him that the team could provide him with. And we give the Oilers a lot of crap. They did an amazing job here. All the things that have to go right to make all of these things happen, that shows that their heart's in the right place from kind of top to bottom as an organization. The players showed this kid, the best that they could. And I hope that made his journey as bearable as it could have been.
Absolutely. Well said. Want to get silly now?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get silly.
Silly like World Junior Championship.
Well, I mean, it's silly that it's being played in August to begin with. So,
which is hilarious. Yeah. So it's been shifted because of COVID.
Because the World Juniors stuck a bunch of teams in the same hotel as an outdoor wedding
in Red Deer,
fucking Alberta.
Hilarious.
Speaking of silly, that's bananas.
Right. So they're trying again. They're taking their mulligan, and nobody's showing up for the games.
Yeah. You know why? Because COVID. And also, Canada's real cringy right now.
Yeah. I mean,
the Canadian junior team.
Yeah. If Canadians and Protestants are known for one thing. It's not taking guilt very well. And you can tell that Canada's pissed at their junior team. They're staying away from these games. They're staying away from anything Canada hockey. Sponsors have been few and far between. And also the games are insanely overpriced and at like 4 p.m. local.
So they're a sporting event, is what you're saying?
Yeah, but like nobody wants to pay $150 Canadian. Like I think that's what I saw cheap seats going for.
So it's like what, $12 American? Mason McTavish had a 4-goal game, and that sounds really impressive because he tied a Canadian record. They scored 11 goals in that game. Like it's a bloodbath. Like
Right.
if they won 4-3 and he scored 4 goals, tickle me or color me impressed.
One of my favorite bits that I've seen from this tournament is a ref prior to the puck drop of a Germany-USA game said to both centers, Santa is already watching you. And I love that. You don't want to be on the naughty list. I mean, fuck, I hate getting hit by sticks on the face-off. It's the worst. I want to put certain players on the naughty list because of just how they take face-offs. So
thankfully, I'm not good enough at face-offs to really like actually injure a referee
that is
in
something
doing so.
our team drastically sucks at.
Yeah,
to get better. I will be so happy when we win one face-off.
I'm probably like 40%.
I'm kidding. Yes.
You prick. Oh, I'm a defenseman. I don't take face-offs. I'm gonna poo-poo them. Anyways, Ryan Miller, Lansing, Michigan icon, former Spartan. He is having his number retired by the Sabres, which is 100% the right move.
Mm-hmm.
I know Ryan Miller spent time with other franchises, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
He's a Buffalo
forever
Sabre.
a Sabre. And, you know, good for him, good for them. He was nothing but a class act his whole career, and in retirement, he's been nothing but a class act. Fancy that.
Do we think Ryan Miller is a Hall of Famer?
No, I think he's Hall of Very Good.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of, well, on the flip side of very good,
Yeah, Hall of Very Bad.
is fucking trash. The Minnesota Wild have announced Punisher Night.
Law Enforcement Appreciation Night. Punisher Tattoo Night.
It's like a bunch of dudes who fucking suck are gonna show up to this fucking game.
But you know that these thin blue line T-shirts that they have are going to sell like hotcakes in the divorced dad
the
demographic.
divorced because they beat their wife. Hey, that's statistically factual. So
law enforcement officers do beat their wives.
they
That's
love
something
to
like
beat
a
women.
40%
Yeah,
clip.
it's very high. Yeah,
It's sad, and we wish they were better.
Fucking horrible.
But also, this is so Minnesota.
This fucking sucks. Like, especially like I don't know if we remember what has happened in Minneapolis recently, but
Right.
some shit. Maybe hold off on the fucking law enforcement night until, you know, at least their fucking prison sentences are over for murdering George Floyd.
Yeah, Derek Chauvin Appreciation Night.
Has a bad ring to it.
It really kind of does, but like I said, this is also very Minnesota because, well, racial issues are very Minnesota. So
Yeah.
I just wish that in this case, a team that I generally like would have read the room a little bit better. That's all. That's all we can ask for. You know, I mean, like, this is the team that also features some of the more outspoken racial justice players in the league, and Matt Dumba. So I don't know. It's a really weird dichotomy.
I'm guessing he won't be wearing a Back the Blue shirt, considering, like,
Yeah.
he's one of the founding members of the Hockey Diversity Alliance, which has been trying to stand up against this sort of shit for years and has been universally shunned by the NHL. So
Right. And you know, the state of Minnesota then will probably turn around and lambast him like the player that got lambasted for not wearing a gay pride t-shirt or, in warm-ups, the soccer player. I
yeah,
think
the
it was.
woman from the North Carolina Courage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, that was not lost on me.
Takes a lot of courage to, you know, be a fucking bigot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, better to make it take courage than to make it easy.
In fucking women's soccer.
It was pretty amazing. I was aghast when I was like reading this article because it just made less and less sense.
And she's not that good.
Right.
Like
Not
that,
like you're a star.
Like you didn't need her. There were plenty of other people you could have been like, hey, how about the one who doesn't suck?
Well, I mean, at least she made herself expendable.
Yeah, again, like this was already a known thing. So,
did she have problems with it before?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Why do you think she was available?
Tony D'Angelo of the NWSL?
Or the Bill Haslam, So Bill Haslam is reportedly soon to be buying the Nashville Predators, which honestly I didn't know they were for sale, but they are.
Bill Haslam, noted brother of Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Cleveland Browns, who probably had to sign off on bringing in Deshaun Watson. And their father, Jumbo Jim Haslam.
Let's not.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was just too easy. Jim Haslam, founder of Pilot Petroleum. So all oil money, all just fucking terrible through and through.
When you take a shit on the side of a highway, it's probably at one of their companies.
Yeah, and if it's in Oregon, it's probably in one of those bathrooms that you have to like get the fucking key and like walk around to the back, and it looks like someone got murdered in it.
Because they did.
Yeah. That's
by Bill Haslam.
That's every bathroom on the way to Bend. Have you noticed that?
I don't stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
I'm like
Madras gone.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not touching those bathrooms.
Now, lucky you.
Yeah, my baby bladder strains all the way there. I legitimately don't drink water on that drive because I'm like, nope, just powering through. Bill Haslam, we're making fun of him because he's a piece of shit who has campaigned against same-sex marriage and for removing the rights of LGBTQ plus people. Throughout his history, was a strong proponent of repealing Roe v. Wade. Just a genuine top line fuckbag. He'll fit in with a decent amount of NHL owners, but like he's public about it, which makes it worse.
Yeah, outspoken. Like,
yeah,
a whole lot of NHL players get by thinking these things because they shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he's like, no, I hate gay people, and they're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
what?
I don't like my own team's Pride Night. He didn't say that, but he probably
he's about to.
He probably thinks
if the Preds don't have a Pride Night this year, burn it down.
They had a big one.
Yeah.
They were like one of the...
They also had Creed come and play. So, like, I mean, pluses and minuses. Let's move back to awesome. Slurpees are awesome.
This is kind
Cale Makar is awesome.
This is the fast food portion of the podcast.
If we can somehow link Patrice Bergeron to fast food.
I was thinking we would go in and out of it pretty quick.
This guy. Yeah, that's why everybody likes you more. So Cale Makar, that's why people know you have a podcast and are surprised to find out that I'm the other one. So Cale Makar got filled his Stanley Cup with Slurpee, which I 100% endorse.
Oh yeah, 100 out of 100, no notes. Perfect.
Yeah,
perfect. Get a Slurpee in the Stanley Cup. Fuck yeah.
His thesis was accepted with no edit. He also, along with Logan O'Connor, took it to the Calgary Children's Hospital, which is fucking rad.
Yeah, and they're from there,
yes.
So that's why Calgary.
Calgary.
Also, I think there was a sleepover, which is just adorable.
They should have put like a kitten in the Stanley Cup and like just let it curl up and have a great
swim
time.
in the Slurpee.
And post Slurpee, like I do not endorse kittens and Slurpees.
Turn the orange cat half blue.
Following in the trend of fast food, the Hamburglar.
He's hamburgling down to Florida, which, I mean, Florida man steals puck. Like, that sounds like a good headline to me.
While high on meth and holding an alligator.
Okay, that's true, Florida man. But I don't think Andrew Hammond is really into meth or alligators, as far as I've heard.
He probably shouldn't be in the NHL if he's in.
Well, he hasn't lived in Florida yet, so there's time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, one of the best nicknames and, I don't know, what would you say, underdog players of the past few...
Absolutely.
Past few seasons. I mean, that was like 5 years ago, right now?
Yeah. He has collected some serious paychecks off of that.
Off of one insane postseason with the ill-fated Ottawa Senators playoff run. So he's got a PTO with Florida. Awesome. They need a fun backup. Maybe maybe he's their man.
I think we could probably easily transition to Mangiapane and just be like, oh yeah, fast food.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before that, Boston did what they probably should have done last year, which is bring David Krejci back.
Lobbied him.
But also brought Patrice Bergeron back. Brad Marchand licked a couple of faces, left them moist.
Yeah, he tweeted the moist symbol when the news broke.
That's kind of sexy. They also signed Pavel Zacha to a 1-year RFA deal.
Fine.
Yeah. I think that was a good trade for them. I think Zacha's got some unlocked potential there. Mm-hmm. Calgary got halfway to making this Keith Tkachuk trade a huge win by locking up Keith Tkachuk?
Matt Tkachuk.
Matt Tkachuk.
Sorry.
Dylan Tkachuk.
Logan Tkachuk.
Logan Couturechuk. Okay, so it's Matthew Tkachuk. Calgary got halfway to making this Matthew Tkachuk trade look a big win for them.
Respectable.
Well, they locked up Jonathan Huberdeau basically for the rest of his career.
Yep.
8 years, $10.5 million per year.
He celebrated on a lake with a fuck ton of champagne.
Yeah, I think, contracts like that never age well. He's 29, I believe.
But they have essentially bought the rest of his career.
Yes, and that's kind of fucking awesome. Huberdeau is a great player, was second or third in the league in scoring last year. Him playing on Elias Lindholm's wing is going to be a lot of fun, and, good for them. They also re-signed Andrew Mangiapane to a contract. I don't remember the details are not important, but
yeah, I forget the actual figure, but it's a good number.
Yeah.
So Mangiapane's deal is $5.8 million for 3 years. So that's a win-win deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we hope they sign Mackenzie Weegar, and I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what this team is after jettisoning 2 stars and taking on 2 quasi-stars. Like, are they going to repeat their playoff performance of last year or miss entirely?
I think they might be better because their issue, especially when they went up against Edmonton, was speed and the back end. Jacob Markstrom can only do so much. He had a couple of really good games in that series. He had a couple of stinkers in that series. Again, that's why I think Mackenzie Weegar is like the bigger part of this deal, was because that's where they needed help.
But also Chillington's going to be a year older. I think they're probably more towards
I think they're a better playoff team because of this.
Maybe. I think they're maybe more towards like a 6, 7, 8 seed.
Not in the West.
Yeah, that's also true. The West is...
They're a 3 or 4 seed in the West.
Right, but what if Anaheim and LA, turn the corner this year? And I mean, I'm also like a free agents take time to integrate kind of guy, whereas like Gaudreau and Tkachuk had played together for years and with most of that core. I don't know. Interesting to see how getting a new defenseman and a new star winger are going to help.
Yeah, we'll see. And we're going to end this on a bit of a lark, shall we say. It was announced recently, within the last couple of days, that Adidas has decided to end its contract for NHL jerseys, I believe, after next season.
If you're European, that's Adidas.
Adidas, famously formed by a member of the SS.
Really?
Adi Dassler, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I always thought it was from the JC Chazé song, All Day I Dream About Sex.
Or the Korn song, Adidas.
Who's Korn? Kidding.
Your Corns. So I believe it's after the end of next year, Adidas' contract with the NHL will run out. I have no idea what this means for the league, but the real big question that comes up is who is going to be the next maker of jerseys for the NHL?
I want it to be Louis Vuitton.
If only, right? Like,
imagine every jersey, but in like Louis Vuitton style with the LV print. That would be so amazing.
I mean, you could sell them for like $3,500.
That's because that's how much they would charge the NHL for them.
Yeah, per jersey. I love your note here about Hugo Boss, but to make jerseys for Thomas Greiss, which is funny, but Adidas could have already done that. So could Puma, who was also...
Oh, Puma's another one?
Well, so...
I mean, because Hugo Boss
designed the
and
uniforms.
made the SS jerseys.
Yeah, and so you know who wore them a lot? Rudolph and Adi Dassler, who were the owners of the Dassler Shoe Company, decided they fucking hated each other, built Puma and Adidas across the street from each other, and were both SS officers. Yeah.
Never went to Thanksgiving again. I was thinking H&M would be a good maker because, well, that's probably what most of the players wear most of the time.
Maybe for the discount jerseys.
Yeah. Or I was thinking Dior because with Johnny Depp, they're used to repping abusers.
What if every jersey was made out of an Old Navy tech vest?
Perfect.
Yeah, that's... Sorry, no more sweaters. We're going with vests.
Sweater vests.
Oh, the Jim Trestle special. Anyway, we'll see what shenanigans come out of these upcoming negotiations. I'm sure we'll all be disappointed by the company that takes over. All right, with that, we're gonna end this episode mercifully. Yeah. You can find us all over the internets at handsomehockey.com, where I just learned how to edit HTML. I'm old. Handsome Hockey Podcast on Instagram, at Handsome Hockey on Twitter, or handsomehockeypod@gmail.com. We also have a Facebook page. It's there. We post some stuff.
I try and use it sometimes.
Every once in a while. I've just gotten so burned out on social media. Like, my brother sends me probably 25 memes a day.
Yeah, for real.
And like, I know I'm supposed to go on to the Handsome Hockey Podcast Instagram page and like post some shit. And I'm just like, I don't want it. I hate all of this so much.
Yeah, I need to go on like a hero's journey away from social media to like come back and actually use it somewhat competently, because I mean, I don't know, at some point I know how to use everything and then they like changed all of it and I'm just like too angry to learn it again.
You know what that means?
I'm senile.
You're old. Yeah. Yeah. Before we leave, happy birthday to Evan. It's coming up here in a couple of days.
Thank you.
Hopefully I get this episode edited. That'll be my birthday present to him.
I think that slaw you're bringing is more important.
Oh fuck. I gotta find a good recipe.
We have recipe if you need recipe.
Oh no, I'm gonna surprise the fuck out of you. I'm bringing like some like, it's gonna be slaw, but made out of like chicken. Here, this is the slaw, Jake. This is made out of shredded beef. Slaw, yeah.
I mean, really, anything could be coleslaw if you believe hard enough.
Yeah, I believe so fucking hard you don't even believe. All right. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. You tickle our fancy. Stay handsome, everybody.
Restez beau tout le monde.